Hello and welcome back to Old Truthford, the home of honestly biased sports content. So, today on Early Doors, we're going to do a quick match preview for the Fulham v Man United game. It is away from home. It is at Craven Cottage. So, yeah, given our away form, not the most confident going into this match. However, who knows? Maybe we can turn a corner finally this season. So first things first, I'll just go through my predicted 11 quickly. So I've got Onana in net, Maguire and Varane as the centre back pairing. Varane hopefully comes back into the side after being benched against Man City and also being struck with illness for the game against Newcastle. So hopefully them two can come back, and hopefully that can at least be our starting partnership for the foreseeable future, so we don't have to keep chopping and changing. But given Varane's injury record, there's no guarantee there. When it comes to the fullbacks, I've gone for Sergio in my predicted 11 because again we've got no option at left back. And I've gone for Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back, hopefully replacing Dalot. I think I've made my opinion on Dalot very clear after the match against Newcastle. Dalot really, maybe Dalot starts because it's Fulham and they're lower than us on the table. But bear this in mind: if Fulham win this game, we're equal with them on points. And depending on if we lose by how much of a margin, they could leapfrog us and actually go higher than us in the table. So we really need to win this game. And I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka would bring that defensive stability more so than Dalot would. As for the midfield, I've gone with Amrabat, Fernandes and Eriksen. I'm not expecting Fulham to press us as much as other teams have. So if we are looking to maintain possession and play football, to quote Ten Hag, then I don't think we can look past Amrabat, Fernandes and Eriksen. I think that's the best footballing midfield that we can really hope for at the moment. There could be a shout for McTominay, but do we really want to put someone on who could concede a penalty at any given time? I don't know about that. I don't know. I think McTominay is a bit of a 50-50 player for me, and I don't know if I'm gonna put him in my midfield personally. And with Casemiro obviously out with a long-term injury, it would appear Amrabat is going to be our CDM for the foreseeable future. So we're not going to get to see the Amrabat Casemiro link up in midfield. Fernandes, going to keep him in the team obviously because what other option do we have? He's the only one who seems to have the ability to create, so hopefully he can pull something out of his magic hat. Diego, I see you, man. How you doing? McSaw striker. Come on, man. Come on. Don't play with me. I think, well, to be fair, at this point during the season, I'd be willing to try anything, but McTominay's come out himself saying that he's not a striker, and yeah, Ten Hag is definitely, that would be sending a big message, wouldn't it, to Højlund and Martial if Ten Hag put McTominay at striker. I'd love to see it though, just as an experiment. But yeah, and then predicted front three, quite obvious really. Rashford left wing. Ten Hag has still uttered confidence in Marcus Rashford going into this match in the press conference, as well as the fact that Garnacho played against Newcastle and he didn't really light the world on fire, did he? He didn't make a strong case for everyone to say, oh yeah, I should be starting these games. So I think Rashford is going to start over Garnacho. Hola, Mackenzie. Bonjour. Højlund up top. I think I think Højlund up top's just inevitable as well. Martial had about 3 kicks against Newcastle, so he didn't push for a starting 11 place. And on the right wing, could we see Pellistri? Could we see Anthony? I think the whole idea of playing Mason Mount right wing is kind of a pipe dream at the moment, because Ten Hag is looking to really force him into playing in midfield, and I think that's the right decision, because if Mount did get put into the right wing position, and then say he had a good game, then people would be calling for him to keep starting on the right wing, where Ten Hag is long term looking for him to be, well, he was looking for him to be a replacement of Eriksen, and just hoping that Mount could learn as he goes with the role. But we're not really seeing that just yet. So yeah, I think Anthony there, it's almost a sure bet, especially with Ten Hag in the press conference saying that the players aren't finding the balls to Anthony that he was hoping that they would. So yeah, I think that's my predicted 11. Who would you guys swap in for, and who would you have in your predicted 11? Would you replace anyone in that one? And Mackenzie, if you say Delo, I'm gonna absolutely don't start me, man. Don't start me. Mount is too Bruno-y, so he'll never fit in a team together. It's hard, isn't it? But it is hard for Mount, because he is. I get what you mean. He's Bruno-y, like same build, same kind of style, same everything. But he's almost like a B-Tech Bruno as well. So if you're not challenging the first place person who can challenge Fernandes other than Kevin De Bruyne, then Mount doesn't really have a chance to really make a print on this team. No, Delo's finished with me. Thank the Lord. Okay, that's good to hear, Mackenzie. So Aaron Wan-Bissaka Screamer, is that what we're going for? I think that's the most realistic way that we're winning this game. I really want Diallo and Mainu to be back from injury. Mainu's involved in the squad tomorrow, so who knows? Ten Hag could literally be at his wit's end with the midfielders and just say, "Yep, okay, you're in, Mainu." So I'd like him to do something to kind of change up the team at the moment. But even then, looking at this team at the moment, looking at this team I've predicted, I think it provides a lot of balance to the side, because we know Sergio wants to run forward. Sergio does have somewhat good link-up play with Rashford that we've seen, but they haven't played with each other too much. And I think Sergio had a bad game against Newcastle, well, an average game, purely because Garnacho wasn't reading that, and there was no link-up play between the two of them. But yeah, I think it provides a lot more balance in the midfield, because we've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka who's going to sit deep, and his defensive work is obviously a strong point. So Aaron Wan-Bissaka is sitting deep, Sergio bombing forward, and Maguire, again, I still don't think he had a terrible game against Newcastle, even though some people were trying to target him, not naming any names. And yeah, I think Maguire, Varane, Wan-Bissaka, Sergio, that's looking like a proper back four now. No centre backs at left back, no Evans in the starting lineup. It's just good to see. Why'd that delete? Diallo and Mainu will fix the team. You know, that's a fair shout. They could very well be the saviours of this season, Mackenzie. I mean, Diallo, I just want to see more of him. He didn't really impress too much in pre-season, but nobody did, to be honest, other than Mainu. Can smash in a long shot. Mainu just makes everything tick. No pressure, Kobe. Yeah, I think I don't know. It's a weird one. It's like I made that post on Instagram with about Kobe potentially being the savior of the season. And what I meant by that was a bit of positivity, given the fact we are almost definitely going to finish between 6th and 8th, potentially 9th. So I think it's we're getting to the stage of the season where we just need to look at positives. So if Kobe came into the team, started to establish himself, that would still make this season somewhat productive, because we're bringing in a youngster who, by all means, from his peers to the manager, like Ten Hag has said, he won't play players if he doesn't think that they're ready, and we've seen it with Garnacho, and Garnacho has impressed, not this season so far, but he has impressed as a substitute at least. And yeah, I think Mainu could do something similar. So it's an interesting match, this one. So it is away from home at Craven Cottage, and if you'll remember from last season, it took us until like the 94th, 95th minute to win the match last season, with Garnacho, funnily enough, coming off of the bench to score the 2-1 winner, when he absolutely burnt past people for pace. So yeah, I think we could very well see a similar game here, as we have been scraping these 2-1 wins. But let's have a look at the stats and the form. But just before I do, Diego, long as we don't pull an Arsenal and finish 8th, yeah, as long as we finish 7th, then we're doing better than Arsenal did. Mackenzie. Also, what's happened to Hannibal? Was in the team for a solid 3 weeks, then just got dropped. I think he got dropped out because we had Amrabat come in, if memory's serving me correctly. Hannibal didn't have a good game against Newcastle, if we're being honest. It's still a hard one to see what type of midfield, because midfields are all about balance. Like, what type of player is Hannibal? He's an energetic player who can put a tackle in and can show aggression. So realistically, he's not a CDM. We've seen that he can shoot from range. Who do you put him in the midfield for? Do you put him in the midfield for Eriksen / McTominay? That like third midfielder space? Because that's the one that really has a question mark on it. Amrabat is solidified with Casemiro out, and Fernandes is obviously solidified. So the only question mark is really over Eriksen / McTominay / Mount. Does Hannibal provide more than those three? I don't know. I think Eriksen can actually control the tempo of a game, and given Fulham's quality, Eriksen should be able to control that tomorrow afternoon. If it means discovering young guns for next season, I'll take 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think it's better than seeing what happened in Rangnick. Like, Rangnick's season was a complete write-off, and we saw like no youngsters come through other than Elanga. Like, Elanga was the only shining light in that season, but then everyone turned on him the next season. So who knows? But hopefully we can take some kind of positive from this season. But let's look at the stats. So, since winning back-to-back Premier League games against Man United in March/December 2009, Fulham are now winless in their last 15 against them. Now, you're probably going to say to me, but Admin, you showed us that stat with Newcastle and how we'd only lost one game in 29 matches against them at Old Trafford. And yes, I did. And yes, we doubled that amount of losses on Wednesday night. So, do these stats mean anything, is the question you may be asking. And allow me to answer. Yeah, history gives us the future, guys. Come on now. So, what this stat tells us, stat number 1. Basically, Fulham do not like playing against us. And I'm sorry, they're winless in their last 15. However, if we look at last season's game at Craven Cottage, and if we were to compare last season's team to this season's team, it's an undisputed fact that we've got worse. And last season's performance was a 2-1 win with Garnacho clinching the 3 points in the last 5 minutes. So it really should have been a draw. So if last season's United was much better and we were lucky not to get a draw, and this season's is much worse, then logic would indicate that we are really going to struggle in this game. However, Fulham have also got worse from last season, so we have to bear that in mind. So we're looking at 2 teams who were close to drawing at Craven Cottage last season. Both have got worse from last season. So the question mark around this game is, who has got worse? Are we worse than Fulham? Are Fulham worse than us? Now, that is the riddle. To answer this, let's look at a few more stats, okay? However, based on stat number 1, it's leaning towards a draw, isn't it? We're looking at a draw. Stat number 2, Man United have won their last 6 Premier League away games against Fulham. Only at West Bromwich Albion, 8 between 1984 and 2011, have they won more consecutively at an opponent in their league history. Okay, so this gives us a bit of copium. So, other than West Brom, we love to win away at Fulham. And we've won our last 6 games there. So, what does that tell you? That tells you we're going to win tomorrow, boys. Put your house on a 2-1 win, okay? Stat number 3. Fulham have alternated between defeat and victory in their 4 Premier League home games this season, beating Sheffield United 3-1 last time out. Indeed, both of their wins at Craven Cottage this term have been against promoted sides. Also 1-0 v Luton. Okay, so that's one of the most meaningless stacks. I don't even know why I type that. So that means that in recent history, Fulham have one lost at, or the other way around, at Craven Cottage this season. So what does that tell us? That tells us that we're going to bloody win tomorrow, guys. I mean, you can't argue with stats. You can't argue with stats. Okay, so the only teams Fulham have beat at home are newly promoted sides. So we would be alongside the prestigious Sheffield United and Luton Town if we were to lose at Fulham. But that's a big if, because we're obviously not going to lose. That's what he's saying. If it means discovering young guns for next season, yeah, we really just wanted the misery ended with Ralph. I'm hoping it's not that type of season. I'm hoping we can just do something special, like. But the odds of us doing something special are entirely based around the players changing, because that manager is not changing. That manager is not getting fired. It's down to the players. And what I would like to ask you guys actually is, who do you think Man United's player of the season is going to be from this point? Who's going to be the hero in the dying embers of what is this season? But as you think, stat number 4, Man United are looking to win 3 consecutive Premier League away games for the first time since a run of 10 between June and December 2020. However, both of their away league defeats this season have been in London. 2-0 v Tottenham and 3-1 v Arsenal. Oh, Lord. Okay, so we've not won 3 consecutive Premier League away games since 2020. Wow, 3 years. That's shocking. Both of their away league defeats this season have been in London. So based on location, it looks like we're losing the match. If these players don't like playing in London, we're screwed. And finally, stat number 5. Manchester United have won just 1 of their last 11 Premier League games in London. What? Drawn 3, lost 7. Though that was at Fulham in November last season, they've lost their last 3 such games. Losing more consecutively in the capital between April 1973 and January 1974. 5. So worried about our beloved team. Oh, me too, Albert. Me too. The stats aren't looking good for us, my friend. I don't know what to tell you. Based on recent form, United losing their last 2 games and winning the 3 games prior, we did think that we turned a corner. However, the consecutive 3-0 defeats to both Man City and Newcastle haven't filled us with confidence. But yeah, based on that last stat, Man United have won just 1 of their last 11 Premier League games in London. That's not good. And the only game that we have won in London, which does fill us with a bit of confidence, is that it was a game against Fulham that we won our last game in London. So swings and roundabouts, but overall, my mind is telling me that we're going to pick up a draw against Fulham because they don't have a very good record against us. But my heart says a 2-1 win to Manchester United. And we could say we'll turn a corner, but we've been saying that all season, so no guarantees there. But we just need the 3 points because should we lose this game, Fulham will be on the same amount of points as us in the league, which would be atrocious. And I'm sure the Ten Hag outers would be sharpening the pitchforks. Albert, I'm so worried about our beloved team. We just need an oil baron or baroness. We were close to getting an oil baron, Albert. However, the tide has turned and we are now more likely looking at Sir Jim Ratcliffe rather than any oil baron. But yeah, that's the early doors match preview done. I'm just hoping that we can have something to celebrate tomorrow. I'm hoping we can score more than 1 goal or 2 goals. Hopefully we can get 3 again. That would also be a positive for the season if we could score goals. But we've been waiting on our forwards to deliver, and I think there's only like 1 goal and 2 assists between the 6 of them or something. So yeah. Hopefully we can shock ourselves and pull out the 3 points, but yeah, there's no promising. Let's see what happens. But thanks for tuning in, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow. Godspeed.